Hey, it is Andy with the FensePost Indie Music and Vinyl blog. Now, back in the day, I had one of those indecipherable organization systems. It was highly personal, only I knew where to find things. Kind of like Rob's autobiographical system in High Fidelity. To paint a picture, record store owner Rob gets dumped by his longtime live-in girlfriend and she moves out. When his employee Dick drops by one day, Rob is reorganizing his records. They scoff at the alphabetization and Rob admits that he's organizing it as an autobiographical method, defined by Britannica Encyclopedia, the biography of oneself narrated by oneself. Now, I have a decent memory, but even Rob's autobiographical collection organization seems a bit beyond me. No, mine was based entirely on real and fictitious characters and music I felt embodied their persona. For example, I had an entire section devoted to space rock, desert rock, stoner rock. So basically heavy music with loud guitar drones, dark lyrics that flirted with psychedelia, blues, heavy rock. I titled this section Al Gore. Essentially, it was my section of music that complemented a post-apocalyptic, desert, barren world. Enter Garage Rock Revival that began in the early to mid-1980s. Awkward hairdos, weirdly colorful, but well-fitting attire most of the time, and more fuzz than you'll find on a crate of peaches. I titled this section Bill Haverchuck, after the ever so nerdy yet with a bit of a retrospective, nonchalant air of cool character that you'll find in the show Freaks and Geeks. I dug deep into that resurgence subgenre, and I stumbled upon this strangely delightful compilation of songs released in 1986 on Glitterhouse Records, simply titled Declaration of Fuzz, an International Garage Band compilation. First, let's take a look at the vinyl itself. I love the sleeve, I love the call-outs to the label. It was also kind of a split release with Cornflake Zoo. You have imagery that calls out all of the different bands, Stepford Husbands, Stomach Mouths, the Blackberry Jug, and on the back you have the track listing on one side, you've got down at the bottom and thank yous, and then you have kind of this another illustrative component. Now this is all cast in black and white and blue. There is a variation to this that has all those blues cast in pink. It also comes with a nice little narrative insert. I love this because not only does it have pictures of all the bands and some additional illustrations and things along those lines, it also has a little overview and outline on the bands themselves. The vinyl is your standard black. There's nothing too fancy here, but the music sounds great. If you like garage rock and you want something that's a little bit quirky and from that resurgence era, this is a great record to have. Upon discovery, I was already familiar with several artists within the compilation. The Not Quite, Mystic Eyes, the Cynics. I would soon come to love and add to my collection releases by several other artists housed within. We'll cover a few of those artists here shortly. The compilation overall is very well-rounded. The tagline dubs it, as I noted, an International Garage Band compilation, which is quite suiting as the bands included do indeed span the continents. As such, you won't find many copies of Declaration of Fuzz out there, and most for sale are scattered across the globe. Now, I'm going to do a little highlight of some of my favorites from this release. Let's take a look at those. First off, the Stomach Mouths, sometimes represented as Stomach Mouths, two different names, or Stomach Mouths is one. Something Weird is the song that's featured, and it has all the 80s garage rock traits. but sounds more like it's sung by Cartman from South Park, which really makes it a very quirky song that is, well, something weird. The Stomach Mouths hail from Sweden, having formed in 1984, and are considered one of the earliest pure garage bands in the European garage rock revival of that era, 1980s. Now that pulls from Wikipedia. They released 3 albums and 2 singles between 1985 and 1987 before disbanding. I do have a few of those in my collection, so eventually we'll take a look at them. Next up is Blackberry Jug by the Blackberry Jug. And the Blackberry Jug is just one of the band's names. More commonly, the German group was known as the Broken Jug. Blackberry Jug, the song, has these strange, warbling vocals, likely filtered through a jug similar to that used by Rocky Erickson and the 13th Floor Elevators in the 60s. Strange, weird, bizarre, probably makes the Stomach Mouths sound a bit tame. The Broken Jug was predominantly active in the mid-80s, putting out releases between 85 and 88. They had a lone comeback record in about 1996, before once again disappearing. The third track, Stepford Husbands, Why Aren't You There? Like so many of these bands, accompanying the fuzzy guitar is a heavy organ presence, and like so many songs from the era, that organ is dominating and dark. The Stepford Husbands may have really only released one single LP, but they released a slew of 7-inch singles between 1984 and 1993. So there are just a few highlights that I pulled off of this compilation. Let's pivot for a moment to Glitterhouse Records itself. Most bands on this compilation had at least one release on Glitterhouse Records, a German-based label and cooperative that formed in 1981 with the Glitterhouse zine. The label, which originated around the psychedelic and garage rock resurgence of that decade, continues to release albums today, if you can believe it or not. So, what do you think of the garage rock revival of the 1980s? Have you dug into any of it? What are your favorite bands? In the description, I'll have a link over to my blog post relating to this where you can listen to some of those songs. In fact, the ones that I talk about on this list, and maybe a few others. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.